On the show tonight, I will just email to you. John, there were 10 million reporters, including the Turks, at Hillary Clinton's hallway press conference today at the United Nations. If you missed it, here's one of the most important answers she gave on why she used personal email exclusively while she was Secretary of State.
I wanted to just use one device for both personal and work emails instead of two. It was allowed, and as I said, it was for convenience, and it was my practice to communicate with State Department and other government officials on their .gov accounts. So those emails would be automatically saved in the State Department system to meet record-keeping requirements, and that indeed is what happened. Looking back, it would have been better for me to use two separate phones and two email accounts. I thought using one device would be simpler, and obviously it hasn't worked out that way.
So she made a statement, she took some questions, and then just a little while ago, her office emailed out a Q&A providing some additional facts. So as we stand right now, which questions did Hillary Clinton put to rest today?
None.
None.
Like none. Like fully put to rest. I mean, not. I mean, I have questions. If I had her sitting here, I have questions about. I mean, we're going to get to a topic about the questions that remain. There's not a single thing that I don't have follow-up questions on. Put to rest? None.
All right. On the merits, I think she put to rest, not for the haters and the doubters, but on the merits, I think
I'm not a hater.
I understand.
I'm not a hater.
I understand.
I'm not a hater.
So you're a doubter, though. I think she put to rest the question of, was there a plausible explanation for why she chose to have one email account? And I think the answer is yes, it was plausible. She wanted one email account because she knew she'd be doing a lot of business by phone and secure email. Yeah. So for most workaday things, both work and personal, she had one account because it was more convenient. I'm not saying that's necessarily going to be believed by everybody, but it's a plausible explanation.
It's not wholly implausible, and there's a lot of discussion now among former administration officials about, in that period of time, whether in your department you were able to configure a device to use both official and personal email. Some say no.
I don't think you could.
Some say no and some say yes.
I say you could. Even you could. But if she could get away with, under the rules, having one email address, which she archived efficiently and studiously, which she suggested in the documents that she did, then I don't think that that is implausible.
I don't think. I think most Americans who have, and certainly most political professionals who have multiple email accounts on one device, they hear that it doesn't immediately pass the smell test. And I think the other question is, why not two devices? I mean, really, like.
She had two devices. She just used one for voice.
Okay.
More on this later.
Okay, let's get to this next question. It was no surprise when Hillary dodged some of the questions about her personal email, but there were some questions that she just completely ignored, like whether she cleared her personal email server with the State Department. Let's listen to that.
Well, the system we used was set up for President Clinton's office, and it had numerous safeguards. It was on property guarded by the Secret Service, and there were no security breaches.
Okay, Mark, we just talked about the questions that you feel like she satisfied. What questions are left that you feel like she didn't satisfy you?
You suggested plenty. One is the one she evaded there. Did she consult the State Department on the security? Even the document they put out doesn't say. She says we can't say who we consulted with because it's a matter of security.
So she was providing some guidance, but not. It's very unspecific.
That's unspecific. Two is this question of the Freedom of Information Act and subpoenas. In the document, there's some indication that if she emailed someone outside the government, she made an effort to archive that. Right. But it's not clear if that was comprehensive. Right. And I still think that's one of the most serious things about it. And the last thing that I think is big that she didn't address is what was her plan for turning these things over before the State Department asked.
Well, right. And I also think, look, I mean, there are questions. She asserts that the server secure because it's the same one that her husband has used. We now know that there really is no such thing as a totally secure server, so she asserts that. She asserts that there has never been a security breach. I don't know that we necessarily know that that's 100% true, or that she would even know if it was true. And the most important question that she didn't answer, to my mind, has always been the most important question, which was, what is it that gave her the sense of justification that she would be the ultimate arbiter over what was work-related and what was not work-related?
I think she answered that. She's absolutely right that on the merits, that's up to every individual employee. When they leave the government, and again, she should have done it in a timely fashion, but when you leave the government, you decide as you go through your records what is government property.
But if you know that you're Hillary Clinton, and you know what your reputation is for secrecy, and you know what the whole story is, this is a political question, not just a legal question.
She herself admitted that she should have done it the other way for just that reason.
Yes.
I'll say another weird thing she said today, which raises questions, is she says she deleted it, lots of the personal email.
We're going to get to that later.
Why she would do that, I think that raises questions.
That is the biggest headline of the whole thing.
Yeah, she deleted her email.
We'll get to that later.
Wedding, I don't get that. All right. Hillary Clinton today was at times contrite. At times she was defensive. The haters are going to hate. The Hillary lovers are already swooning. But, John, after her long hiatus away from the political media, what does this press conference say about the current status of her political skills?
I've been harsh so far in the show, more or less, but I think actually she did okay. She took more questions than I thought she was going to take. She had occasionally moments of, that little kind of smile about, obviously now looking back on it, it was kind of a mistake. There was kind of a little bit of an adroitness there that we haven't seen from her recently, I thought. By and large, again, she evaded a lot of questions, but there were a lot of multiple questions. Yeah, I don't blame her for that so much. I thought compared to how bad it could have been, she actually did pretty well. I mean, in terms of style.
I agree that she was not at her best, but she was good. But I will say she was not herself. This was a performance.
Yes. Oh, that's
She was not herself naturally. That's not the way she would talk about these things with her friends or with her staff. And I continue to believe
most of the people in that room would not qualify as either friends or staff.
I know that. I'm just saying, stylistically, it was very rehearsed.
Yeah.
It was very formal. It was very lawyerly.
Well, but just to be clear, as you pointed out on the air when we were covering it, she has some legal exposure here, so it's not surprising she would be legalistic in some ways.
No question. But I do think that she stood up there and she took questions, and that level of performance, she could get elected on that level of performance, I believe. So it wasn't at her best. I think she's got room to improve and needs to improve. But she can, if that's the way she deals with the media, she can win.
She was better today than she was on her book tour. Let's put it that way.
And she was better today, given that she hadn't had a press conference like that in a long time, than she might have been.
Yes, and it was a pretty hostile setting. Okay, so tonight, I promise I will rewatch that entire press conference with a bag of popcorn, some goobers, and a bottle of Michter's as usual. But for now, there are just two more big important clips that we have to play. The first is Hillary Clinton saying that she deleted, as Mark referred to earlier, some of her private emails.
We went through a thorough process to identify all of my work-related emails and deliver them to the State Department. At the end, I chose not to keep my private personal emails about planning Chelsea's wedding or my mother's funeral arrangements, condolence notes to friends, as well as yoga routines, family vacations, the other things you typically find in inboxes. No one wants their personal emails made public, and I think most people understand that and respect that privacy.
Okay, the second big clip is about the future of her personal email server up in Chappaqua.
The server contains personal communications from my husband and me, and I believe I have met all of my responsibilities, and the server will remain private, and I think that the State Department will be able, over time, to release all of the records that were provided.
Okay, Mark, both of those things, this is like leading the witness, showing you those two clips and then asking you, where do you think the story goes next? Because it goes to those answers, I think, but please expound.
Republicans are not going to accept the notion that they can't see the server. I don't know if they'll win that fight or not, but now the head of the House Benghazi Select Committee is saying he wants to call her, not just to testify about Benghazi, which he already had said, but to talk about her email practices. I think that one will continue to be a hot button, and some Democrats, I think, will probably not support her position on that. The other thing, though, is this question of withholding the documents and how complete it was. The fact that she deleted her personal emails, I said before, I don't get that. I mean, was she running out of server space because she was downloading like every Barry Manilow song? Why did she need the room? Why did she need the room on the server to delete emails about Chelsea's wedding? That is going to make people suspicious to say you deleted emails.
Why?
Why?
Nobody deletes them. And you're talking about here, based on the review process, according to this Clinton document, 30,490 were provided to the department. 31,830 were private personal records. More than half of the email she sent was personal. And I got to say, I mean, look, maybe it's all, everybody has some sympathy for that. Of course, there are private email correspondence that you, me, nobody would ever want anybody to get a look at. But the headlines, the two big headlines, one, she destroyed thousands of emails, number one. And number two, as someone tweeted, Nixon didn't burn the tapes, but Hillary destroyed the emails. Those are not great takeaways from this press conference.
I'll tell you, though, I believe this performance today probably calms the Democrats. And I think this, for the time being, she's satisfied them enough that it's a partisan issue, and that works to her benefit.
Flames the Republicans.